Check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Whoa. Really? Yeah, because we probably should. You hear from Frank?
So it's mandatory, everybody has to have a slice of pizza in order to be here? Pizza in the foyer, if anybody's hungry. We overbought, so please, please, go grab a slice.
Good evening. I'll call the meeting to order. Ask Madam Clerk to please call the roll of the council.
Councilman Fogarty? Councilman Lawson?
Yeah.
Council Vice President Rego?
Yeah.
Councilwoman Sousa?
Here.
Council President Rodrick?
Here, the record show 4 members are present. Councilman Fogarty is on his way, no doubt, in traffic somewhere. Please rise for the pledge. Thank you. Before we start with the regular business, I would call on our deputy city solicitor to explain some procedures for the evening and to bring the latest developments forward.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Conley?
On the first matter, which is a show cause hearing in regard to the Rumford Motor Inn, you received a temporary restraining order filed in Superior Court this afternoon. The restraining order basically argues that no municipality, East Providence included, has jurisdiction over the particular license involved. This council this evening was prepared to sit in its capacity as the licensing authority of the city of East Providence to hear a prosecution from the city of East Providence against this license. That requires us to sit in a quasi-judicial capacity, which is a very formal matter, a very formal proceeding, with very clear rules about how that should and should not work. When the restraining order comes in place, especially when it argues that any action taken by this board would be illegal, it causes a scenario where the city now knows that there's a party that is arguing that any action taken would be illegal. If we were to ignore such an action and take a negative action, we could create an argument that there's now a knowing and willful violation of law, which opens up a different set of damages. So as a result of the threat of increased liability, I'm requesting that we meet in executive session so that we can talk about the litigation in detail. As to tonight's hearing relative to the restraining order, the Rumford Motor Inn has been operating and is currently in operation as of today. The way the restraining order works is its primary function is usually to maintain the status quo. So we would have to present an argument that the status quo cannot be maintained, or that the status quo is somehow an immediate threat to the health and safety of the city of East Providence. Those are extreme measures which are very, very, very rarely granted by a court. We are talking about scenarios in which there is definitive evidence and relatively clear proof that immediate harm or immediate threats to public safety would occur. That's the only time in which the status quo would be altered. The city, as of today, does not have an argument to alter the status quo as it exists today. This has set a public hearing, a Superior Court hearing down for February 2nd. That's the tentative schedule that we received from the courts this afternoon. I don't even know if all parties have been able to confirm that they'll be able to attend in that time. To give everyone here kind of an anticipation of what I see working, that's a sort of time frame that I'd be considering. In terms of when this agenda item could come back up, not until after that hearing actually occurs. And so I think we can go into detail about what the claims are, what my concerns are, but for this evening, for tonight, this board has essentially been stopped from taking any action in the licensing authority as a result of the restraining order filed in the court. There's an inability for this board to take any action. Any action this board would take would risk very serious legal liability for the city of East Providence. So with that, it'd be my recommendation that, and my request, that we have a motion to amend the agenda and go into executive session so that I can detail the legal liabilities and concerns in a manner that protects the city's interests so that we don't have any concerns with how we go forward in this matter. As to the scheduled show cause hearing, we should not, under any circumstances, go forward with that.
So before I entertain a motion to do just that, I would just reiterate to everyone that this is a matter of that the legal department strongly, it's not even a recommendation. I mean, we have no choice, as I see it, that we have to.
I would agree with that.
Okay, so hearing that, is there a motion to amend the agenda and move into executive session to discuss the litigation with the Rumford Motor Inn and City of East Providence? Motion made by Councilman Lawson. Is there a second? Second by Councilwoman Souza. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? Guys have that 4-0. So we will go into executive session, be as brief as we can. Yes, Councilman Rigo.
We just can't go into executive session. We need now to make sure we have the proper protocol. Where are we now as far as the statute and everything? Because
I do think we need a motion to amend the agenda.
That's what I asked. A motion to amend.
men, and then we also
4246-6B.
Right.
To add to the executive session agenda a discussion regarding Sarai LLC, TBA Rumford Motor Inn.
And wait,
Okay. And now that we've accomplished that, we do need, thank you, Solicitor. The motion to go into executive session pursuant to 42465A2. And that, now we'll be discussing each of those three matters.
so I make a motion that we go into executive session based on the
42465A2.
42-46-6-B.
What's these? 5A2.
Oh, I see it on, 46-5A2.
So it includes the amended order of the agenda. Motion by Councilman Regal. Is there a second? Second by Councilman Lawson. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Guys have it 4-0. We will return very as soon as possible. Thank you.
regarding the bridge. The state is.
Right. Thank you. Madam Clerk, you want to proceed?
Under consent calendar, we have tax abatements in the total of $715.80.
Motion to accept.
Motion to accept by Council Vice President Rego, seconded by Councilwoman Souza. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Next.
You have a consideration for a motion to bundle on the licenses.
Council President, I ask that we take the licenses.
Okay, thank you, Councilwoman. Let's do the licenses singularly. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Proceed.
The first license is a special event license, a one-day entertainment for the Crescent Park Carousel Preservation Association. It's Movies in the Park at 700 Bullocks Point Avenue on June 28th from 6:30 to 10 p.m.
So all these for the Crescent Park, these are just, typical events, Summerfest, movies in the park. These are things they've been doing for a long time. We make them get a license to show a movie?
Yeah, I know. I remember questioning this a
Yeah.
few meetings ago. It seemed like kind of a new thing. And, I thought that the city could put on a movie in a park without worrying about timing of a council meeting to get a license. But it seems like that's what we're doing to keep everything in line. We're not talking about liquor licenses.
Right. Okay.
But if that's
No further questions. I'll make a motion to approve.
motion to approve by Councilman Lawson, seconded by Councilman Fogarty. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have that unanimously.
Special event license, one-day entertainment, the Crescent Park Carousel Preservation Association for Summerfest 2024. It's also at Bullocks Point Avenue, 700 and 701 Bullocks Point Avenue, July 18th to July 21st from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m.
And if anybody's asking, the Crescent Park Carousel Preservation Association is the name of the 401c3. They're able to collect money on behalf of the carousel and stuff. Summerfest last year was a hit. We brought in the carnival folks, and it brought back the feel of Crescent Park, and it was just great. So I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Lawson, seconded by Councilman Rego. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Special event
No
license.
opposed. I'm sorry. Continue.
Special event license, one-day entertainment, the Crescent Park Carousel Preservation Association, Movies in the Park, 700 Bullocks Point Avenue, on October 11th from 5:30 to 9:30 p.m.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Lawson to approve, seconded by Council Vice President Rego. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. And before we continue, just an announcement that I understand we had some, mostly for people viewing the streaming tonight, there may have been a few audio issues when we were summarizing executive session. So before, not now, but before we adjourn today or at some point, we may want to just repeat what occurred in the executive session for those of you who are watching and wondering. I don't think it's a problem here in the room itself. Madam Clerk, proceed.
Special event license, one-day entertainment, the Crescent Park Carousel Preservation Association, the Great Townie Pumpkin Festival, 700 and 701 Bullocks Point Avenue on October 5th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m.
So there's another fun event. We funded the pumpkins for the kids last time, so I'll make a motion to approve.
Councilman Lawson, you're tough asking for motions for pumpkin festivals.
Second.
Motion was
Why they
made
need
by
permission
you,
to do stuff on a city park, I don't know.
seconded by Councilman Fogarty. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed to the pumpkins? The ayes have it, unanimous.
Special event license, one-day entertainment, applicant Jennifer Tercera, the third annual Fall Fair and Classic Car Show at 58 Bright Ridge Avenue, September 28th from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. in the afternoon. They're going to be having a band and DJ entertainment.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Motion by Council Vice President Rego to accept, seconded by Councilwoman Souza. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you.
Council President, I'm just going to take the opportunity to recuse myself from the licensing.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Souza will recuse herself for a couple of items.
Do we have the owner here?
Well, could we have the clerk read the,
Oh, I apologize. I didn't-
that's okay, read the item first, and then we'll take the questions. So proceed, Madam Clerk.
The first is the application for victualling Class 1, Robert Baptista III. The business name is A Positive Atmosphere LLC, DBA Atmosphere Cafe. It's located at 63 Valley Street.
Councilman Lawson.
This part isn't the part of the public here. So you're a CBD business, correct, currently? Can you give us a little overview of what you're trying to do here?
Well, before, just a name and record, for the record, name and address.
Yeah, so actually, I was already open on Taunton Ave. I'm just moving to 65, not 63.
Can you state your name for the record, please?
Robert Baptista,
Address,
third.
please?
My home address,
Yes, please.
1 Horton Place.
Thank you.
Thank you. Proceed.
Okay.
So just describe what you're doing.
Well, we're a cafe. We offer CBD as well, but we're a traditional cafe. People just have the opportunity to add CBD to their food or drink.
You're serving food and drink now?
No, we're not serving it now. I'm currently in the process of reopening.
Okay. So you were a cafe?
No, we still are a cafe. I was on Taunton Ave. I just moved to Valley Street. And I'm
Right, but on
here in
Taunton
that
Ave,
location.
was it just CBD or
No,
was
we
it?
were a cafe.
All right, so coffee,
Right.
Danish and stuff.
Yeah.
And you're looking to bring that to Valley Street?
Right.
Right. My only concern is Valley Street, as you know, there's so much construction going on, and we haven't heard from the planning department yet what the overall view of that area is. So that's why I'm cautious about going ahead and doing this, because, as you know, they're doing the off-ramp.
Right next to that.
All that property, it's, a lot of it's being bought up. The developers are starting to go to the planning, so we don't know what the overall vision for that area is. And that's my concern.
Well, I've spoken to the Waterfront Commission, and that area is zoned for a cafe for that type of business. So I checked with it's Ray, I believe,
Ray Levy, yep.
and Ed Pimentel in the zoning department before I decided to take this location.
None of them are here to answer some questions. Yeah, again, my concern is not knowing what's going on in that whole area. And so you're going to be CBD
So we're a cafe. I have a CBD brand as well, but we're a regular cafe that you can come in and get food, drinks, smoothies,
and CBD?
and CBD.
So are you closed on Taunton Avenue? Have you vacated?
Yeah, I left there in October.
Okay, so this is new. So Councilman Lawson, I wonder, maybe the solicitor or the clerk could join in. If are they legally zoned for this business? Now, I know the councilman's concern is construction, but if it doesn't bother the business owner, so I don't know, are they legally?
If he meets all the requirements for the license, there's really nothing the council can do. I mean, as long as he meets the requirements, and he already had a license, it's his risk to take it in a construction zone that's his risk, but.
That's what I'm wondering. It sounds like the risk is the business.
I don't know the zoning of the area. I'm being asked to vote on something. I mean, I know you're telling me that it's okay, but nobody's here from planning to.
Have you had, excuse me, through the president,
Councilman Fogarty.
have you had any violations at your place of business, your past place?
Have I had any
Has the
violations?
business had any violations sent to them at all? That you know?
I haven't had any violations,
Business,
no.
The business.
Not that I'm aware of,
What's
not to me.
What are your hours of operation?
Councilman.
The other place I was open 8 to 8 for the most part. Hours fluctuate depending on the season, but 8 to 8. Sometimes if we have an event, be there till 10 or 11.
So I'm not sure that, like, planning board members normally come to our meetings anyways to answer, like, your question, Councilman. They're not usually here. If the solicitor and the clerk feels that this is a legal request and is zoned, are you aware of zoning?
It's a food license, so, I mean, again, we can grant it subject to verification from the zoning department that it's zoned, but I wouldn't imagine that we would have offered this if he wasn't zoned for it, so we could.
Excuse that?
That's not part of a victualling license. I mean, he's got to meet all the requirements, obviously, with the health department and all that good stuff if he's selling food. He's got to get all those permits and inspections, fire inspections, but this is just for the license. The license is issued subject to getting all the other legal requirements, which includes those inspections, what you just mentioned, including complying with the zone, so. This is a food license, that's what a victualling license is.
So it seems it might be appropriate to, or that we can't really do anything about it, about refusing it, that we would approve subject to all of those things that you mentioned, which I'm sure if he's come this far and they must pass the business requirements, the zoning, the health department, if not, he can't get it. So I don't know how I would vote against this at this time. It sounds like it's the risk is his if he wants to have a business where there's some construction going on.
It's not just that, it's the whole area. What is the plan for the area? Are we looking at, now you want dance and entertainment as well? Is that what planning's looking for on Valley Street? Because you also have a house there, the red house, that's a private residence. That's somebody's home right there.
It's two separate things here. I mean, I'm, the thing
And
that
that's why I'm
seeing-
asking,
yeah.
what's the overall
Yeah.
picture of what you're trying to do at that building?
I'm seeing a cafe, and I'm seeing food, and I've traveled this world a lot of places, and I don't know, and I've been to CBD places in California before they were out here. The love of God with me, I don't understand why we're gonna have it. First license, I might be able to live with, but we gotta move on to the dance and entertainment. I mean, that's where I got a little hookup and hold up, I should say, plus with what you said. We got a comprehensive plan that's overdue that supposedly is gonna be in front of this body at our next meeting. And we're gonna, in an area that we're trying to develop with the waterfront, and we're gonna grant an entertainment license, we're gonna end up being no different than Allen's Avenue in Providence. That's my concern. The food license, we can grant food license all day long according to the solicitor. So I think we got two separate issues here. Obviously, we do, that's why we got two licenses. The first one, I sort of agree with the council president. He had a license once food was on Taunton Avenue. That's fine. Second one, that's where I think that's where your council current.
Yeah, we can ask those questions there.
Because
So
technically, you can stay open till 1 a.m., correct?
yes,
The city allows businesses,
Yeah.
so do we want a 1 a.m. nightclub down there with the dance?
I'm not opening a nightclub, and I'm not looking to open a nightclub.
Well,
So what's
dancing and
dance and
entertainment is-
entertainment?
Yeah, what's that?
Well,
Well-
let's keep this to the food first, and then we'll get to the next one.
So my question, obviously, is to the solicitor and to the clerk, is there a license present at his old location?
What type of license?
The food, I mean, is the food license active, or basically what was granted would be a transfer. So, I mean, technically, on a transfer like this, there's not even a reason to be here other than.
No, it's not a transfer. I called and checked with Stephanie Mello, and since it's a new location, I had to apply for another one.
You had one, I'm just.
Yeah.
His previous
I
license-
opened up in 2020, so this is just me moving locations.
His previous license was in good standing. He met all the requirements. He met all the requirements for this application. This is a new victualling license for a new location for an existing business.
So, also, this is the second time he's in front of us, because he failed the last time he wasn't here, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So this is a new, so it was an application, so the second application fee should be applied. Is the second application fee in place? Was there a fee paid for the second application?
I did ask the licensing clerk that today. I did not get an answer. It was re-advertised, So I would assume he paid a second fee.
Why would I pay a second fee?
You failed to show in front of us the last time.
Because I was told that I didn't need to show up for it. I thought it was just clerical. So I'm here because I was told I needed to show up. I thought I had an inspection actually at 6:30.
Who told you that you didn't have to show up?
The clerk. When I first did all this, she told me, but I guess it was for the victualing.
This clerk right here?
No, I talked to Stephanie Mello in the clerk's office.
Okay, no, when you say the clerk, we refer to,
Okay.
so I just want to have clarification.
So usually when any applicant comes this far, the basic things are in order, correct? Otherwise, it wouldn't be before us.
Correct.
Okay, so I think at this point, we're just talking about victualling, food. We can talk about the other stuff after. Just talking about a business that's moving from one place to another. It sounds like he's had some conversation with the Waterfront Commission. We have not heard from them that they oppose this. Not sure that they could. So I don't know. What is your pleasure?
I just got a question to the solicitor. So any business, I mean, Jersey Mike's, so, you know, cilantro recently up in my ward. They had to go through the process, so they had to go through before they got to us, the fire department or, you know, inspected it, the building, you know, the building inspector, everybody inspected the building. And then it came to us. Do we have that information in front of us right now on this situation?
That's a question for your clerk. I know that part of the application process is to have those checkboxes that they approve by those individuals, so.
You have that application, did your clerk give you that information?
I have a copy of the application in my office.
Are all the boxes checked that
The-
the solicitor said?
Yes, this application has been verified for all the normal things that are verified for a victualling license. As far as what you're talking about for a CO for the location, I'm sure there is a CO because it wouldn't have gotten this far through the various channels in order to be on the docket.
I think, as we've said many times before, the clerk's office would not give us, is not supposed to forward an application that hasn't had all those boxes checked. So it sounds like, and the clerk has just said, basically, correct, Madam Clerk? You just said the boxes were all checked.
Yes.
I think this is in order. I'm not sure there's any reason that we would deny this. If he wants to take the risk of moving a business to an area that might be difficult for cars to travel to, that's his risk. And then we can go on with the entertainment questions, you know, beyond this. But I don't see a reason to stop the move from Taunton Avenue to Valley Street when everything is in order at this point. So if there aren't any other questions, what is your pleasure?
Move to approve.
Motion by Councilman Lawson to approve. Is there a second? I will second. I understand as chair, I can second. I can't make a motion, but I can second. So the matter is moved for approval and seconded. Please call a roll, Madam.
Councilman Fogarty,
Hey.
Councilman Lawson,
Aye.
Council Vice President Rigo, and President Rodrick.
Aye. So the matter passes 3-1. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Under public hearing, dance and entertainment license, which is new for the applicant Robert Baptista III. Business name Positive Atmosphere LLC, DBA Atmosphere Cafe, located at 65 Valley Street.
Thank you. So the same owner is here. Can you describe what your intention is here?
We just want to do the basic stuff like trivia, game nights, karaoke, movie nights.
And this is a public hearing. Before I open it up for any public discussion, I would ask if the council wants to ask questions or discuss now, or do you want to open it to public discussion first and then comment? Hearing no response, I'll open it up to public. This is a public hearing. If anyone here wants to speak for or against this application, please come forward. Once again, if anyone is here, wants to speak for or against this application, please come forward. Hearing and seeing none, or close the public hearing at this time and resume council discussion.
So you're not looking for a nightclub, you're talking the trivia and stuff that you just mentioned. Okay. I'll make the motion to approve pending further conversation.
Any other questions or comments? Motion by Councilman Lawson to approve. Is there a second? I will second the motion. Motion has been made and seconded. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Fogarty,
Nay.
Councilman Lawson,
Aye.
Council Vice President Rigo,
Nay.
President Rodrick.
Aye. So the motion fails by a 2-2 vote by rule. So that motion does fail at this time.
Could I have some explanation on that?
The motion's pretty well voted on. I don't know if the dissenting votes want to comment further before we move on. No, hearing none. So thank you, though, for coming forward and
You didn't even ask me any questions.
Their vote, their discretion.
All right, yeah, I see.
We asked questions before. We asked questions.
What didn't I answer to your satisfaction?
My opinion. It's my right.
Yeah,
our
well,
rights. It's all-
And as you, and you're my council person, I would like to know why you don't feel that my business.
It said the area, and that's what the councilman started off beforehand. We got we got a comprehensive plan coming.
Yeah. So you don't feel my business fits that plan?
That's my.
You've never even heard of my business?
I knew where you were. I'm not here. This is. I have rights. We all have the rights.
I mean, I'm asking for questions. He's on his phone ignoring it. I'm asking you guys for your feedback. I don't have the right to ask for that.
Not at this point. So the vote is,
Okay, so
yeah, the vote's been taken.
vote has been taken, so I have to close the discussion at this time. You can certainly apply to come back to the council. Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Under communications, we have parking issues at Washington School on Glen Rose.
Okay, I'm just gonna hold up. I wait for Councilwoman Souza may want to return. I think she was recusing herself for some of these licenses. Officer Sink, could you check outside and see if Councilwoman Souza's sitting out there, or we'll just hold on for a second? Maybe we'll use this time while we're waiting for Councilwoman Souza. I would like to ask the solicitor, could you give us a quick summary on the executive session because of the audio problem earlier?
So the only two matters that I attended executive session was the approval of the secretarial contract for the school department by this council pursuant to the charter. They agreed, you voted 5-0 to approve the contract with those secretaries as presented by the school department per the charter. The second matter was a approval of a modification of the current collective bargaining agreement with the police union to increase their detail pay related to the bridge details, only to the bridge details under section 18.01 of the contract, and that was also approved 5-0.
And if it didn't come across with the audio earlier, all of those bridge details are being paid for by the Rhode Island Department of Transportation. None of those costs are being borne by East Providence.
It's a pass.
Budget.
So we may front the money, but we get paid, reimbursed back.
We get reimbursed at least. And if it didn't come across on audio, the other part of the executive session was about the show cause hearing that we had scheduled for tonight. That is being, the next date with that would be February 2nd. There's been a temporary restraining order in place, placed today. So we'll continue to address that issue along legal lines. So that was the summary from our executive sessions. I'm just waiting we also lost Councilman Rego now, so there's 3 of us here still.
Yes, Council President.
I gotta leave. Oh, no. Go ahead.
I'm looking at the docket on my phone.
I understand. Thank you. That's what a lot of us do, yep.
So the public knows that I'm looking at the docket.
All right, I can see it from here, too.
I have one, but I like to use my phone.
So I don't want to delay. We could go to public comment section while we're waiting. Madam Clerk, do you have? Communication first.
So parking issues at Washington School on Glen Rose Drive and Lantern Lane, Karen De Pasquale.
Karen, are you present? Just please give your name and address for the record.
Karen D. Pasquale, and the property is 97 Glen Rose Drive, Riverside.
That's your address? Yeah.
I used to live there. I own the home with my siblings. I lived there till I was 35.
Okay.
I live in West Greenwich, but I still own the property.
Okay.
My sister lived there until just recently.
Proceed.
Okay. I've been in contact with city officials via email, in person. I had a meeting back in October with the planning department, DPW director, and the engineer. And I also met the mayor that day. He came into the conference room 308, because there's been for years an ongoing issue with the Waddington School parking. My whole family went to Waddington School. My aunt was the special education teacher there. We're very fond of Waddington School. But over the past 15 years, the amount of traffic, pedestrian traffic, bus traffic barreling down Glen Rose Drive, the parents that come to drop off and pick up their kids with their dogs, with their cigarette butts, with their coffee cups, with their snack wrappers, and littering all over the area on my front lawn, breaking my sprinkler heads. They just park haphazardly. There are no curbs. There are no sidewalks. Up until the day before school, there was not even any white paint on the ground. And now there's a half of a sidewalk, of a crosswalk. It was never designed or designated to be a school zone, and it never was. And now it is just a serious accident waiting to happen. And this happens Monday through Friday, twice a day, 9 months out of the year. And it's a problem, not just for me, not just for my family, but for several other neighbors. More so now, they're more vocal about it now because a lot of them, since COVID, work from home. So they used to miss all of this charade that went on. Now they see it firsthand and they're appalled. They can't believe it. I've kind of been the vocal one to just so that the mayor and the administration is not deluged with emails from everyone. I've kind of been the makeshift spokesperson for this situation. And I understand it's nothing like the bridge closing, and it's not a huge emergency to the majority of the residents of East Providence or of Riverside, but it's a big problem, and we've seen it get exacerbated over the years, especially with the closure of Oldham School. The amount of cars that come in, it's all over the place. There was one time when my elderly father fell in the house and my mother had to call 911. The fire truck could not even get down in front of the house. The ambulance had to park in the middle of Lantern Lane and Glenrose Drive. And when the EMTs came rushing in, I knew one of them from East Providence High School. And he said, Karen, oh my God, what is going on over here? What are all these cars? What is all this chaos? And I said, Kevin, that's exactly what it is chaos. He said, we can't even get the trucks down here. We can't even, they had to run from down the way to get to my parents' house. It's a situation that is at a critical mass. Kids are going to get injured. I have pictures on my phone and on my computer where the buses are coming within inches of little kids. I don't know if we're going to just wait for a serious accident to happen. If someone were to get injured on my property, in my driveway, on my lawn, would I be liable? I ask you, this is a problem. I'm not here, it might seem like a trivial issue or doesn't affect that many people, so it's not a big deal. Legion Way is the school zone. They have brand new sidewalks, probably within the last 5 years, curbing, crosswalks, patrols. The street is wide. It's designated as a school zone and it's marked as such. All I asked for was a couple of signs that would stop the parking from Breezeway. It's called Breezeway, not Breezeway Drive. It's just Breezeway. That's the widest part of the area. It kind of opens up. It's an odd shape. Street is kind of an S shape. And where Rowena Drive and Breezeway intersect Glenrose Drive, it's very spacious. It's very wide. Where Glenrose Drive, after Breezeway, it's a narrow artery. It's very, very narrow. Cars are parked on both sides. The buses are barreling down at the same time. And the funny thing is, the buses are half to 3/4 empty. And Mr. Rodericks, I've never met you before, but we did have one conversation on the phone back in August or early September. And you agreed with me that you've dropped and picked up your own grandchildren and you've witnessed the chaos firsthand. So I've been very laid back about this, but after that meeting in October, I've been emailing poor Jill. She's been copied on everything, and all the people that I met with and the mayor. And I get crickets back. Nobody gets back to me about nada. And it wasn't until January 8th where Councilman Lawson responded and just said, I'm sorry that this has gotten pushed back. And I understand you haven't been notified about anything, but folks determined that this problem was not really a problem. And because of the short times, I have the email.
Yeah, but the reason was you wanted enforcement over there. And talking with the school, and I talked to the DPW director and stuff like that, they felt you're talking pickup and drop off times, correct? Is when the issue could, they felt you're talking 5 days a week for an hour or two a day, that we just didn't have the bandwidth to enforce what you were looking for.
Well, honestly, I didn't.
So it's not that we didn't care.
I didn't ask for enforcement. I never expected police detail.
So what would the
Never
signs
expected
do if
principal.
how do we enforce not to park there?
Well, how do we enforce the signs, the bright yellow neon signs that say no entry from 8 to 9:30 and 2 to 3:30? How do we enforce those big bright yellow signs? People, it takes them a couple of weeks maybe to notice the signs. But if the signs are there and they're posted, no parking beyond this point, I travel a lot and I'm on the road a lot. I see in other school zones signs of all kinds, no stopping, no standing, certain time restrictions. I don't see police monitoring it all day, and that is not what I was requesting.
Okay.
I had emailed 4 or 5 different remedies that I just brainstormed with my neighbors and mostly by myself, and I emailed those to all the parties involved. I never got any feedback. When I met with the 3 gentlemen on October 17th, they agreed with me. They agreed with me that this was a problem. Mayor De Silva, when he came in, said, I have heard about this. This has been ongoing for years.
Okay.
And he agreed that this needed to be remedied.
So you and I got different stories. I wasn't at the meeting that you held. I wasn't even aware of this until Jill pointed out that nobody's been responding to you.
Yeah.
So that's when I reached out and I was told, no, we're not going to do it.
Was there a traffic study done by the EP police?
I have no idea what was
there
done.
anyone sponsor
I have-
anything, a resolution? I was told, the last sentence of your email says to me, The police have been asked to monitor the situation. That request did not come from me. But at this time, the administration has decided additional signs are not needed. And I understand.
And that's what I was told.
Okay, well, signs are needed, something is needed, a vertical sidewalk is needed, something is needed.
Okay.
I have broken sprinklers, I have pickup trucks that come in, parked, tire marks all over my lawn. Nobody would want this. No resident, no tax-paying, law-abiding resident would welcome this at their home. My property values are $25,000 to $30,000 less than they should be. I've had real estate people, friends of mine, that have said to me, this is ridiculous. It's absurd. It's a safety issue.
So
So let me, go ahead.
I was just going to say, because I was not involved in all that stuff, I have no problem reaching out and
Well, I did call you once. I never got a return phone call. I understand you're busy and you work during the day, no offense. Mr. Rodericks did call me back once and we had a conversation, and that conversation was that he acknowledged that there was a problem that he witnessed firsthand. Mayor De Silva came in and said to me, even on emails, he has said in his response, and I was CC'd on it, that he's heard about this problem. And I'm telling you, it's always been a problem for about 15 years since Waddington School put a little driveway in for the buses, and they changed everything around.
Okay.
But since Oldham School closed, it's out of control, it's chaotic, it's dangerous. And
So let me interject,
have to deal with
if I could, for a second. And I want to thank you, first of all. You've been reasonable throughout this long ordeal and, professional about it. And we did have that long conversation. And I do know, because not only grandchildren, my children went there. That's how old I am, Councilman. And through the years, the problem has shifted. First of all, jurisdictionally, it's a school department issue. Now, we're all one city, so we're going to try to solve this together. But it's something that superintendent of schools and the school committee, they make determinations as to entrance of the school. At one point, Legion Way was the main entrance. There was also an overhang there that's been taken down for years to protect kids when it rained, when they were coming in. Oldham closed, things changed, and I believe now it's considered that back area that you live at and own property is the entrance now, not Legion Way per se. Or buses go back there. So wherever the buses go, everyone complains. It's also a problem in every single elementary school in the city that 2 times a day, we all get complaints that I see the one in Kent Heights School all the time, and they've had to make one-way streets. People can't even park in front of their house. It's a fact of life with today's parents that drive kids to school, much more so than was done years ago for a lot of reasons, safety, otherwise. So the school department, I think, has determined that they want to keep the status quo. Now, the city can get involved in building sidewalks and things, but I don't think that we're at that point yet where, like your house, you'd want 6 to 8 feet taken from the front yard to put
I'm not asking for that.
a sidewalk, right? And you're not asking for that.
A couple of signs would do it. I'd be willing
Yeah.
to start there. I think that would go very far in alleviating
Sure.
the problem.
Yeah, signs are easy to do. Maybe we can do that. But before I continue, I'd ask Director Rezendi if you want to add to the discussion. I see you getting involved, so thank you.
Thank you, Council President. No, I just wanted, just for, on the record, there was a consensus, Ms. Pasquale is correct, in terms of the different directors speaking about this. And what we understand is that the school department, as you just said, Council President, along with our DPW director, as well as, at least from what I understand, that the school district stressed that this would just cause parents to park further away, and that for, again, a short time frame in the morning, a drop off and pick up, that it would actually cause more confusion and wouldn't be beneficial, so that at this point, we weren't moving forward to add any additional signage. That being said, what also came from it was that police presence, would be increased to help, avoid any blockage of Ms. Pasquale's driveway.
Okay, thank you. What other signs that you requested that you want? Do you want them to say no parking, or what? Are you trying to not have any parking in that area?
There's a very small area that I'm asking about. It's right in front of 97 and 96 Glenrose. Actually, 103 Glenrose also. It's from where Breezeway, and as far as having it, the parents have to walk, it's literally two houses further down that they would not be able to park in front of. The neighbor across the street, her dad one day backed out of the driveway and hit a car because the car was parked overlapping his driveway. This happens all the time. She was supposed to be here tonight, but she's sick. Not that long ago, I think it was in November, she had a doctor's appointment at 9 o'clock. She had to travel to the doctor's appointment. Parents were coming and parking and overlapping on her driveway. And she said, "Excuse me." The mother was in the car and getting out. And she said, "I have an appointment. I need to back out. I need to get out." The lady said, "I'll be back in 10 minutes. I mean, as a resident, you can't have this. Her dad backed out one day and hit a car and caused a lot of damage. He was an elderly person. He wasn't expecting the car to be within his driveway. We've happened at our house all the time. It happens. A couple of signs that say no parking beyond this point, or like the existing yellow signs that are on the corner of Ferncrest Drive and Glenrose that say no entry. They're big yellow neon signs with red lettering from 8 to 2:30 and from 8 to 9:30 and 2 to 3:30. They have no entry. Even, we live there, so we have to go, but I try to avoid it at all costs during those times. And, that's 3 hours out of the day. I can't come and go on my street. So it's a problem. If you don't live there, sure, it's not a problem. Maybe it's not a problem for other elementary schools. It's a problem for us. We don't want to get in confrontations with the parents that are there. We don't want to get, toe to toe with people. And it's a very delicate situation. I have pictures where the people, their dogs are in the car. They let their dog out and do its business on my lawn. We don't have a big property. It's a very modest house, but we have sprinklers in the front yard so we don't get grubs and have it look terrible. And there's been on 3 occasions where my guy has come and said, "Your sprinkler heads are broken, and this is because tire tracks." I have pictures of the tire tracks, deep grooves. They walk 8 feet up. When I'm not home, my neighbor will tell me. They're wrestling on your ground again. The guys are, the mothers are chatting and the kids. It's not the end of the world. No one's dying here, thankfully. But it's a problem for us, and we've been putting up with it a long time, and it's gotten so critical. It's been exacerbated with Oldham School closing. And quite frankly, we're really tired of it. And we shouldn't have to put up with it when there's inexpensive, simple remedies we can try.
Well, let me ask this, and I don't want to put him on the spot, and you don't have to come forward, Chief, but if you could just add, do we still have a community relations officer? Can we bump this up to one more discussion? I'm sorry. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, absolutely. We have periodically done enforcement in that area at, Ms. DePasquale's request and the school's request. We can absolutely have our community police sergeant and folks look into it a little bit further. I do know the engineers, the DPW director did work with the school department on this, and I wasn't privy to all the ins and outs of it, but they did do an assessment of the area for signage, sidewalks, and whatnot. And as Ms. Resendi stated, made the determination not to take action on those. But my side of things, absolutely, we can enforce and look into it further.
Maybe we could kick up the enforcement. At a time when we have this bridge crisis, I know it's difficult, but at least if the community officer could even meet and talk with some of the people involved. It sounds like if we're talking about a couple of signs in front of one house, that could be doable. That's not a major ask. We can't promise to enforce what the sign says twice a day. I would never ask the police to do that every single day of the week. Other things I know that are going on, but maybe we could try to wean the problem away. It does not seem like going back to Legion Way is in the plan, which is a wider street, which is the street that I used to use dropping off my own kids years ago. Now in the back, and everything that Mr. DePasquale said is accurate. When I go there, sometimes I've had to park because I did not want to drive on anyone's lawn, so I would park a few blocks away. And then you're concerned because you're wondering, is your third grader okay? You know how we all are today with safety concerns. So I would get over there quick, but I would see the cars parked all kinds of different ways. So it's an issue. Well, maybe we can revisit it that way. I know Councilwoman Souza.
Just a couple of things. One, do we have an SRO officer? It's at that school. I don't know.
No, that's no.
Okay, so we wouldn't.
Yeah.
So what I would say, and I want to thank Ms. Pasquale for coming up and discussing this before the council. In the center of the city, in our ward, we have similar issues and have had similar issues. And I will say that putting up the limited sign, so basically during the school bus pickup hours and drop-off hours has been successful in 2 of our elementary schools, having those been placed up. And certainly we have crossing guards that are nearby, so they kind of reinforce that, that signage where they don't allow the cars to go by. But it has helped, and it also has helped the neighbors who have had similar issues where they could, you know, the staff was parking because our elementary schools in the center of the city are limited for parking just for staff. There's not even enough staff for parking spots on the property, so they're using off-street parking to go to work. So they were parking in front of residents' homes, which were then leaving residents with no place for them to park or drop off. So I understand what you're saying, and I would suggest if the council is, amenable to it, it has happened, it has worked in the center of the city in our 2 locations, putting do not enter during school, the drop-off hours for school. I think it starts at 7 to 9 or so, and then 2 to, I think, 4 or 3:30. Again, just so that people already are aware, don't start going there because students will be coming out along with the buses. Because the buses are being dropped off there too, correct?
The
Yes,
buses,
so to the
buses are
side,
barreling
but
down.
they,
Yeah, the buses. And I've talked to the transportation director. Is it Diana Clarkin?
yes.
I've left the superintendent messages. I really want to solve it. Like, this is not rocket science. I want to solve it like amicably, peacefully. It's not a big deal, and it's not a big investment for the city at all. Signs. People obey those signs. When those signs were put up about no entry from those an hour and a half, parents stopped coming up from Ferncrest Drive. And we're not asking them to, pack a lunch and have to walk a half a day. Walk 2 house length. Don't come down. They agree that it's really narrow. And I think they just don't know how to navigate it because they feel like it's allowed. All right, well, we're going to park you. I guess nobody cares. We care now.
Okay, so I want to move this along. I want to go to Councilman Rigo, and then maybe Chief, could I put this on you to ask the community officer to exchange information here, and then get back to us in a while and let us know how it goes. But first, Council Vice President Rigo.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think the situation, Chief, you can agree with me, is similar to what happened in the springtime up at Myron J. And I contacted you, and we had the patrol. We had traffic go out in the morning, and then one of the patrol officers in the afternoon on a Friday. And you agreed as far as the signs, and we had to pass an ordinance on Horsford Avenue there and say no parking this far up on Horsford because of the bus situation and also cars. And the feedback I've received from the school is that it does work, the sign. So it's similar to, for a couple of hours. So avoiding that, because that was one of the issues with the neighbors, that the driveways were being blocked and everything like that. So I think it's obviously it sounds like it's similar. So I hopefully we can come to a resolution, with a couple of signs that can help the mindset of the neighborhood down there.
And I'd be happy to meet with the chief or anybody from the administration, from the school department. I'd offered this up 1,000 times. I'd be happy to meet with them, walk the area, discuss where the signs could possibly go, that would be most effective. I want to work with you folks to solve this once and for all. It's
Yep.
gone on way too long.
Yep.
We looked the
All
other
right,
way for
hang
long.
in there a little longer, and maybe we can stay in touch. Let us know. And Chief, I appreciate it. You could. Okay, thank you. Thank you for coming forward. Next.
Candy Seal speaking on Metacomet and the Waterfront Commission.
Thank you for your patience, Mrs. Seal. Proceed.
Are we on? Yes.
Yes.
Yes, and thank you for your patience. I know it's been a long night already. I'll only take 5 minutes of your time.
No rush.
I appreciate your attention.
For full time, you're the only speaker.
Good evening. In July 2021, the previous city council majority voted to rezone Metacomet into the Waterfront District and into the hands of the Waterfront Commission. Reasons given then: the perceived benefits of economic development, the fear of what the developer could do by right without the rezone, and the confidence that the Waterfront Commission would provide the oversight of this enormous development project that the council couldn't possibly provide. Despite our best efforts, it's increasingly clear that Metacomet will be developed. It is also increasingly clear that the Waterfront Commission is not providing the oversight that some of you counted on. When the developer began reconstructing the lower 7 holes of the golf course into 9 last April, with absolutely no supervision from any public agency and without a permit from the Coastal Resources Management Council, the Waterfront Commission blew us off, and we came to you for your help. You chose not to intervene. You told us everything was fine. The Waterfront Commission had this, no worries. Now the developer has submitted its application, plan, and impact studies to the commission. 60 acres worth of dense residential and commercial development, 890 residential units, and 153,000 square feet of commercial units with a 90,000 square foot grocery store. The first meeting of the commission's Design Review Committee is scheduled for February 13, 3 weeks from now. We have grave concerns about the process, which is outlined in our city zoning ordinances. We have brought these concerns to the commission. Again, they blew us off. Again, we come to you. First, the composition of the Design Review Committee itself. Article 9 of the Code of Ordinances, which covers the Waterfront District, is very specific about who should be on the Design Review Committee. 3 voting commissioners and 6 advisory members, including the directors of DPW and planning or their designees, and 4 other individuals. The list of proposed members from the commission staff, however, includes the 3 voting commissioners, the 2 directors, and 2 other individuals as advisory, but also 2 more commissioners. By ordinance, these last 2 advisory positions should be filled by independent others. The reviewing committee has been stacked with commission members, and that violates the ordinance. You are the makers of the law, and it is up to you to enforce it. Our second concern is with the incompleteness of the application, despite the certificate of completeness, which the commission's executive director issued on December 28, 1 day following the developer's submission. Amazingly, the combined total page count of the materials was 1,500, with 800 pages in the traffic study alone. That it could have been certified as complete within a day is remarkable. In point of fact, though, the materials are far from complete. Article 9 spells out very specific requirements regarding submission of an application, including one element that ties the whole package together: a certificate by a registered architect attesting that the project complies with the intent of regulations in form and substance as set forth in Article 9. That certificate is not part of the application. Perhaps there was no certificate from an architect because the impact studies attached to the application were rushed, flawed, and themselves far from complete. For instance, the self-described preliminary traffic study used outdated traffic counts from 2019 and 2020 and was based on an initial development plan with far less retail space than what is being proposed now. Another example, the public safety study lacked current law enforcement data from the East Providence Police Department due to extenuating circumstances. The partial closure of the Washington Bridge that caused havoc in East Providence, and the holiday season itself. Christopher W. Bruce, the author of the report, stated in his project summary, quote, "Overall, the short time frame and unavailability of much of the required data means that this report is less complete than I would like," end quote. We learned recently that Mr. Bruce was given 1 month by the developer to complete his study, and he did not know for sure until 4 days before his report was due that he would not have access to that required data. This was on Saturday, December 23rd, 2 days before Christmas, with a deadline of Wednesday, December 27th. Third, the noise study primarily concerned traffic noise, but remarkably excluded truck traffic noise from its calculations because, quote, "trucks are not permitted on the Parkway, Lyon Avenue, and 4th Street," end quote. Permission or not, trucks use these roadways all day long. The appointed Waterfront Commission answers to no one. You, as our elected representatives, answer to the public, and we count on you to represent us. We call upon you to invite the executive director of the commission to come to your next meeting and explain to you and to the public why requirements in city zoning ordinances are being ignored. We call upon you to invite the planning director to come into these chambers to explain to you and to the public how an incomplete application and plan encompassing 1,500 pages with multiple flaws and omissions were handed over to the executive director of the commission within a day of its submission, only to be certified complete the following day. This is on you. Don't shrug it off. Thank you.
Thank you. Very well stated. We'll certainly look into some of this. Next.
Tony Ramos, 12 Holsmith Court.
Is Mr. Ramos here? Next, please.
Karen De Pasquale, but you already spoke, so you're all set, right?
Thank you.
Under council members, the potential ratification and vote on proposed agreement with the East Providence Secretaries Association as presented by the East Providence School Department pursuant to section 10-4 of the East Providence Home Rule Charter.
Mr. Solicitor?
That was done in executive
That was done,
session, by unanimous vote.
Yes, do we have to do it further, or that's all set? Okay, next item.
Review, discussion, and final ratification of the collective bargaining or litigation related to a modification of section 18.01 of the current collective bargaining agreement related to detail pay with East Providence International Brotherhood of Police Officers, Local 569.
The same.
That was also voted in executive session, and we disclosed the vote 5-0. Approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Continue.
Review, read-in process for one-day entertainment and special events licenses issued through the clerk's office of the city of East Providence. Discussion, Council Vice President Rigo.
Councilman.
Thank you, Mr. President. There seems to be some gray area in regards to licenses being issued when we're not in session or when we meet. And I think we need to, as this body and also the city clerk's office, we need to come up with an ordinance that really tightens up the application process. We talked about a liability situation earlier in the day. I mean, different issue, but we cannot afford to put the city in any sort of liability situations. Granting licenses should only be done by this board and this board only. So we need to come up with an ordinance, a good game plan, possibility of even when we're not in session a lot during the summer, that we sit as a licensing board. Maybe 3 of us have to get together on a Thursday afternoon quick and go through the proper procedure to make sure that the licenses, no matter if they're issued in January or July or any month, go through the same venting process, and that we as the licensing board issue it and so that the city clerk can put the seal of the city and her name or his name, if it happens to be a he at whatever point moving forward someday, that it is down there and we set the precedent. This reading, I can't find anything, and that's not a good thing for us as a city to protect the citizens of East Providence.
Thank you. Councilman?
I'm not voting for a license after the fact anymore, so, what's the repercussion of holding an event without a license?
Well, I think if an event were held without a license, without permission, and something bad happened, someone got hurt, there was a problem, there was
So we're approving after
fight,
the
we'd
fact,
be
and we may
liable.
not know that something like that occurred.
right. So, and I know we've been trying to make sure that even simple things that people need to know, they got to come early enough for a council meeting. I would think we might have to leave the door open for an emergency celebration or something that we might come from city hall, us. But yeah, any Jane Doe or John Doe shouldn't be able to hold an event without prior approval. We've been trying to do that. I don't. Does anyone know of many of these that have occurred? I don't know of.
Reading all the time. They
We've
have
been
become
yeah,
a
we've
common
been trying.
occurrence lately. So that's one of the issues that, after the fact,
Right.
after the fact leaves us in a liable situation.
Right.
God forbid there is, just like that, just like it never happens here. Well, things happen here. I mean,
No, I agree, but
that's
I
what
think
so I just want to firm it up. If we have to,
There should
We
be
meet-
no
yeah, should
reading
be- no,
after the
we
fact.
meet every 2 weeks. So in July, we're not meeting. So maybe in the second week in July or the third week in July, three of us get together. The clerk posted on a Thursday afternoon at 3:00. We meet as a council / licensing board, and we're going to approve those.
right.
That's the only time I see it. If you can't get your paperwork in time, and if you're planning an event, and the events, just for instance, in April, you're planning it right now, so you should go and get the license ahead of time. It's
I
the
agree.
burden is on the person or the organization that's having it. And
Right.
I'm
No, I
just
agree, and I
trying to
think the
reasons.
city clerk has been doing a good job getting that policy of sorts almost in place. So, Madam Clerk, can you agree to going forward that anything that comes to you, if it's too late, you just leave it off the agenda, right? And then that would solve this.
Well, they wouldn't be able to issue the license. We're getting
Oh,
the
right.
readings after, so they can't issue the license if we're not meeting. That's basically what you're saying.
I was just trying to
Words in
avoid.
your
We
mouth.
just did it a couple weeks ago. What does July got to do with a couple weeks ago? You know what I mean? So if they don't get it in, I'm not voting for a license after the event.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Through the chair,
Yeah.
Councilman Fogarty.
if the host had such an event, we would not be liable for anything, correct, Mr. Solicitor? So it'd be on the host. If we didn't approve a license, it would be on the venue itself. If we do approve the license, then obviously they would have.
I think the purpose of
come
the
in on
license
time.
is to let the public safety people know that something is occurring in case they have an event, but it's really,
Right.
just.
No liability to
It's a
us.
regulation thing to let, but it's really no liability on our part.
Well, but there's been a couple that there were alcohol. Ones that
Councilwoman?
last summer, we approved some that were serving alcohol. So we
Whatever.
are liable at that point
Why? Why would we be liable for that?
because we're granting a liquor license.
Yeah, and
So
but,
we're
but we're
illegal.
not serving the liquor license.
No, but we're still we need to grant the license. So it's in violation. They're in violation.
Right. It would be there upon
Yeah.
them to make sure that the license is granted and that they're
Yeah.
serving alcohol in an appropriate way, but it's there. We're happy to, let me clarify this. We're happy to do, the clerk's office, I'm sure is happy to do anything that we want. When I first got here, I was told that historically, the clerk's office, when you guys are not in session, would approve the one-day licenses for these events, and usually for like homes or feasts or a couple of things that they don't get here. If the council wants to take the position that the clerk's office does not grant a license until it comes before the council, you certainly have the right to do so. the clerk had reached out to me 2 weeks ago and asked me to consider drafting an ordinance that would allow the clerk's office to grant the license when you're not meeting. If that's not what you guys want to do, that's your choice to do. But if you want to take the position that no license will be issued except by the city clerk, except after approval by the city council, you have every right to do so, and you'll.
That's my stance.
All right, Councilwoman Souza.
Well, I'll just let the rule book, the clerk wanted to. And then I'll-
Okay, sure. Madam Clerk?
I did not ask the solicitor for an ordinance to grant licenses. I asked the solicitor for an ordinance to mimic that activity that the council was already doing so that it was solidified. I just wanted to clarify that.
So
Right.
I am,
So it's a decision we need to make.
right. So I'm of the mind too that we should just put, craft an ordinance that we feel appropriate for issuing licenses and the not having or having read-ins, which I'm not in favor of a read-in. I think I know if you're having an event, you know well in advance when you're having an event, so it is your responsibility to do the right thing and to get your licenses and everything in line. And there can be some meat behind that. To what the solicitor mentioned earlier, it is a notification, so the public, especially neighbors, will know that there's something being hosted, like a block party or something in their neighborhood, so that they have an opportunity to then come before the council if they so choose to say yes or no. I would not want that happening, because maybe, for the last 5 years, it's been too rowdy or it's gotten rowdier and we prefer it not to be in our neighborhood any longer. So I think for those reasons, and then obviously public safety, notifications, there should be something that is definitely drawn up and come before the council for approval to then be made public. And I think the key part of this too is enforcement. So we then have to make sure that people are aware and that, we're doing some enforcement behind it.
Sure. So I think the short-term answer is we all are in agreement that no more read-ins, and then we can work on putting it in writing, an ordinance, or so. We don't need it right if we. Right. So we're all in agreement on that. No.
And if anybody gives you pushback, Joe, just send them to us. We'll explain to them why they.
All right. We're all on the same page. Next item, please.
Update on police station renovation discussion, Councilman Lawson.
All right, so it looks like, and Chief, feel free to jump up. It looks like a design came in from the architects and we're moving towards it. We did allocate 2.5 million towards this police station. The mayor told me they are applying for a grant. The state has a public safety building. Chief can better explain this. So we may need a match that the 2.5 can help with. And I'm going to stop talking and let the guy who knows more.
We met with the architectural firm on Thursday. They presented their latest plans. We went over every single move, change. We requested some additional changes with our cell block area, the location of some offices that just made more sense flow-wise. They are taking that back, making the changes. The next step from there would go to their cost estimators so we could, start to get a number on it. Would you like me to talk about the grant now, or would you like me to?
Might as well, sure.
So through the State of Rhode Island Pandemic Recovery Office, they have Municipal Public Safety Infrastructure Grant Program. And it is for cities and towns who are making an investment in public safety infrastructure. And those projects that are in the works, I guess I could say, we are in the works. It is a matching grant, so we will be sending in all the necessary documents. One of the requests was a resolution from the council, so that's why it is on the docket tonight, that they are in support of this grant. So that's where we stand.
Who's the architect that?
JCJ is the name of the company.
After discussion, do you want to move up the resolution?
Sure, I think we should, while we're on the topic, move the resolution up. And it,
Did we get, so I know so this company is the company that went in to look at all the deficiencies that were in
Correct.
the building, correct? Okay.
Yep.
And so then they, in addition, came up with a floor plan and what the redesign would be.
Correct. What they did was they have experience in designing public safety buildings. And they gave us a lot of suggestions that we didn't even think of, what makes sense, what is needed for a modern day facility for accreditation, simple things like evidence packaging in close to where we're doing reports and not bringing, civilians to certain parts of the building and changing it so civilians wouldn't have to go to that part of the building. So there was a lot of back and forth with that. Also, they brought in structural engineers to look at the state of the physical structure itself, and some other outside folks to assess the building.
Right. Would we be able to get a copy of that report? Is that available?
It's not available yet. No. That's still in the works. Yep.
Keywords, I appreciate that, for accreditation.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Mhm.
I think, like my thing was the interview rooms where it was how they were interviewing people, and it's just like a bench, and so I'm very happy that things are moving forward, and I know you got the support of this council.
yeah. Councilman, do you want
You gotta
to
do
make a
something.
motion regarding the grant application?
I would like to make a motion to approve this resolution authorizing the submission of a grant application to the Rhode Island Pandemic Recovery Office's Municipal Public Safety Infrastructure Grant Program. Now, this is just the application.
Yes.
So as it moves forward, we may have to come back and vote on a match. And like I said, we're sitting on the 2.5 that we put aside specific, and hopefully we can get a lot more and really take care of these guys.
Motion by Councilman Lawson, seconded by Councilwoman Souza. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Unanimous. Thank you, Chief.
I do have to run to the bathroom. Frank, can you take this next item for me? I'll be right back.
You didn't have to be that descriptive. So where are we here? Go ahead, continue.
Update on status of the FY22 audit and the FY23 audit discussion. Councilman Lawson and Council Vice President.
Council Vice President, do you want to start?
Sure.
Summary, or
Thank you. Mr.
Director is present also.
Malcolm, thank you. The other day, I guess you forwarded to the city clerk last Friday, and she forwarded to us afternoon on the FY22 audit. I personally have perused it a couple of times, and so this is just a rough draft of my head. Couple things that stand out to me is I would say we're pretty much, and that doesn't even include the Martin bond. I would pretty much say that we are at a bonding capacity of probably we don't have much room to bond anymore, correct? From a fiscal standpoint?
It would be tough. I mean, the next few years are going to be very challenging budget-wise, just because we have to continually add money in for the Martin school bond for the next probably 2 years, maybe 3. So you really can't go out to bond. I mean, you could for water sewer because those are separate and apart.
So God forbid there is a infrastructure issue with water sewers, that we have a major collapse that happens we see from time to time throughout the country. If we were to get into that type of scenario, we're safe to bond. That's the only thing I'm worried about bonding. I'm not looking to bond buildings or anything like that. I'm just looking for public safety issues, with the water and sewer.
Yes, and the way it's set up is the water and sewer are supposed to be separate companies. So we just went out for a $26 million bond, I think for the water department. And so that's a revenue bond. It would be paid through the rates. so that we can go out if we needed, if there was some sort of emergency for water or sewer.
And isn't 4 million of that waived or
Yes.
absorbed?
Yes, there was a loan forgiveness program, and I think, so out of the 26, 3 to 4 million is forgiven over time.
And just for clarification, then I'll go back to you. When we say the Martin bond, so everyone realizes it's really Martin, Waddington, Riverside Middle School, preschool, they're all benefiting from this. Martin is getting the bulk of it. But Riverside is, middle school is getting a nice retrofit, energy, new windows. Waddington is getting quite a big retrofit, getting rid of that open classroom space and more traditional. Preschool is involved, so it's quite a bond issue that was passed. It isn't just work at Martin Middle School.
Correct. And to put it in perspective, the high school bond was 198 million, and this will be under just 150 million. So it's, you know, it's a very large.
We should be in good shape for schools going forward with this, with most. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I'm
continue.
sorry, I didn't think you were. One of the other issues I looked at just briefly again, I have a little concerned about the unfunded liability potential of the pension fund.
That is a going concern. And it is a little history. It was about a third, 33% funded back in about 2010. With the Google money, the police got up to about 95%. So they were allowed to put in almost $50 million, which got us up to about just over 60%, like 61, 62. And since then, when we sit down with the actuaries every year or two, and they do assumptions, they would rather be more conservative, which means instead of making 7.5% per year, it's 7%. So every time you do that, it lowers your funded percentage, which means that you have to put more in every year. And you'll hear the mayor talk about that periodically at budget time. We'll put another $500,000, another $1 million in towards the pension. Now, the good and bad is the lower you get the percentage, the quicker you'll be funded because the more money the city has to put in. And as it stands right now, they give you a schedule so that we're supposed to be 100% funded within 20 some years. So based on that, they say each year, this is how much you're supposed to put in. And realistically, it goes up about $500,000 a year every year. And just real quick, it used to be, I think you had 25 years to be 100% funded. And what would happen is, sort of like with your house, after 15 or 20 years, well, maybe you'll just refinance and push it out again. And that's what all cities and towns would do. The state finally came in and said, nope, we're going to give you one final 25-year period. And you're going to be caught up by that.
And where are we on that
We're,
shot?
I think we got 19 years left, 20 years left. I think it's 2040. We're supposed to be caught up.
And are we on schedule right now? Are we making our contributions?
Yes, every year when we get the actuarial report, it tells us what we're supposed to put in for the following year. And so we always budget 100% of the annual required contribution of the ARC. And really the only change in that is then really how the market.
And one last thing I have, and again, I just perusing it a couple of times. It looks like, and maybe I'm wrong, it looks like the anticipated revenues that we obviously collect, the bulk of it is through property taxes. And at that time, I think that fiscal year also included some car taxes, but don't hold me to it. Maybe that's where it is. But it looked like what was put on the budget in 22, we didn't hit what we at that time. That council projected would be the incoming revenue. It looked like there was a shortfall. Like, I'm just throwing out a number. It was, if we were going to collect $105 million, it looked like we only collected 103.
That could be accurate. You have to be careful sometimes. In the budget, we may have 105, and that may be but to see if the interest is, because a lot of times you've got the principal and the interest, and sometimes on the budget, it's only put in one line item. But that was one of the issues I think I brought up, I was talking to the mayor, is that the revenues the last year or two have been down, I would say considerable. I mean, it was only like 2%. But still, that's about $2 million.
See, that's exactly my number. That 2 million stuck in my head. It was like 105, I knew it was like a $2 million shortfall.
We were trying to figure out, and again, we're sort of guesstimating on the reason for that. COVID, the economy, I think one, in my opinion, one of those is that the mayor had, during these hard times, decided not to have a tax sale for a couple of years. A lot of times people aren't going to pay unless you force them to pay a tax sale. And so we're starting the tax sale process, and I was talking to the tax collector today and saying a lot of people are coming in and paying. So I'm hoping that we're going to have a big windfall this year for that same reason. But it has been trending. Really, it's only been the last 2 years, I think, and it just kind of, we were at 97%, when we're 1.5, 2 points down.
So on an educational standpoint, this council just went through its first budget season. And obviously, maybe we asked a lot of questions, which I think people want us to do. And I'm just already planning ahead for that time of year and hopefully don't make the same mistakes, because perfection is only a word in the dictionary, that we don't do it again. But what you're telling me is if we're basing a budget, say it's on $105 million of revenue coming in, we should almost, and that's how we're going to fund this city, pay its bills. We should almost budget ourselves for 103, because we're going to have a shortfall. We shouldn't anticipate, because at some point, 2 million, we could potentially run into a deficit. And I want everything to balance all the time. So I think, and you said it, I think we got to be fiscally conservative going into this budget based on what I just read. The 21 audit, I didn't even look at, because when the gentleman came up from the audit and basically told us this is a waste of time. I mean, I looked at it briefly, but he basically told us that night it was a waste of time. But this one, I wanted to start using some comparison, because again, 23, I don't know when we'll get the 23 audit, but I want to use the 22 as some sort of guidance. So we should almost anticipate, if we think it's going to be 105 million, again, just not a number, we should budget our projections based on 2 million less, because you're saying that's a consistent. And again, I'm not trying to pigeonhole you here, and I'm not trying to nitpick. I'm just trying to get a grasp of what we could be anticipating.
For 24, I did decrease the revenue projection a little bit, maybe $500,000. But I was still thinking that the tax sale process would bring in at least $1 million. Well, I would think that we should be much closer.
The next audit, how far out are we from getting that? 23?
We are months ahead of the previous year.
Okay.
And the issue we have every year is that the state did the best they've done in years, and they got us their number. They have to do their report, and in their report, they have the MERS pension information, which they have to give to us. And they got it to us, say, in July. And then from there, best case scenario, because there's some back and forth and final reports to be done, but you're probably looking 3 months after that. So you're still looking at, September, October. So we should be able to have drafts to you if you're interested. We can get pretty much the revenue and expenses. So you should have that for the budget process.
Well, that's the concern. We're doing this without knowing what the previous year's audit was. We're violating the charter. So you're thinking September, maybe October? We'll see.
When you'll get the audit. But we could have everything to the auditors April,
Okay.
you know, and then, but you're just, again, you're in a waiting game. We just, FYI, we do have a meeting with the Auditor General on Thursday. And at that time, because we've been late the last couple of years, he wants a timeline that says, hey, so that we know about when we can expect this. And I'll probably say we'll have everything to the auditors by end of February or March. And we may have one other report that we have to wait for, but and again, we'll be waiting then. Now, I can't speak for the school, but they're usually pretty good about it.
What state entity holds you up? You said the MERS information? Where does that come from? What state agency?
The, maybe I don't know if it's whether it's, I think it's the Auditor General or the Department of Revenue, but they do an audit every year. And within it, they've got their MERS pension information. And we have to wait till that's finalized. Normally, we would get it in, say, September or October. There's an Auditor General, he's trying to roll that back. He's done very good. Like I said, we got it months earlier, but it was still, I mean, for state law, we're supposed to be done by the end of April. If they don't get it to us until July, there's no way.
Right, so you said it's the auditor that we're holding up on, waiting for him to give us the MERS info?
The Auditor General, it's his department.
So we may want to look into lighting a fire, maybe call our state reps, let them know we need this info. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. No other questions? Next item, please.
Handicap parking designation sign at 98 Orchard Street. Discussion and possible vote. Councilwoman Susan.
Councilwoman.
So this item has been on the docket a couple of times for a discussion because we were waiting for the DPW to approve the application and forward it, review the application and forward it to the council for council review and approval. I'm not quite sure as to why there's not an ordinance before the council for a handicap parking, which is how we've always done it, to my knowledge, in the past, because it goes in the book of ordinances as a location, and then speaks to, the process of maintaining the sign. It's only on here as a discussion, possible vote, but there's nothing. I'm just a little confused as to why we wouldn't have had ordinance before the council when I've asked for the ordinance on multiple occasions.
How we grant handicap sign. We've never done an ordinance for handicap signs. The ordinance allows the DPW director after council approval to post the signs. So that's how we've always done it. Since I've been here, this is how we've done it.
So is council approval a resolution?
No, but just
Just to approve, so we can vote tonight to approve and
put it up.
he can put it up right away.
Otherwise, you need two readings, and that's why I think the ordinance
Yeah.
allows this.
I know he's aware of it because we talked last meeting. He said he'd be ready. So do you want to just move approval?
So then how does it?
We'll give it to,
Understand how it then is binding, so to put up a sign.
I'm going to find you the ordinance, but again, how we've always done it, this is how our staff.
Section 18-315 starts the ordinances. We have a list of the streets.
The city council shall review and may approve the application. So you're approving the application. That's what the ordinance says. So because the application is being approved, that's what allows us to put the codify it. So it's not an ordinance, it's the
But there's
application.
nothing. But there's really nothing before the council.
The application.
Is the council present?
Council approves the application, and that's why the ordinance says it gets. That's what the ordinance says. That's how we've always done it. The application is approved. That street gets added to the list. And
The application is in, correct? I think it's in. You took care of that, so it's,
Yeah, so this, I mean, this is going back to October, so then.
we could have voted before.
It was on the docket before, and that
I don't
was
believe the application was submitted before. I don't think we-
been submitted since October.
All right, so let's get it done tonight. Motion
The application,
for the street is
Second?
90 Orchard Street.
for 90 Orchard Street, and it's a handicapped parking sign. Seconded by Councilman Lawson, Councilman Rego, Councilman Fogarty. And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Madam Clerk, can you transpose that to the DPW Director in the morning?
Yes.
So he'll know there was approval, or the solicitor, whomever. Thank you, Councilwoman, for staying on top of that. Next item.
Rumford Easter Icon at Freedom Green, March 23rd, 2024, from 1 to 3 p.m. Announcement, Vice President Rego.
Councilman.
Thank you. Trying to just making the announcement, Easter to be here before you know it. Freedom Green, the annual Rumford Easter egg hunt, I should say, and everybody in the city's happy to come. The Easter Bunny will be there. There'll be the Easter hunt. There'll be some nice entertainment and get us into the festive. Hopefully, it's a nice day in March for Easter.
You need a license?
Do it before the event.
I'm just asking.
I know.
We don't want to read in now.
No, but do I?
Get it in there, Frank.
Vice President Rego requested a license for the event, but it was within the posting. Of
Oh,
the
sure, you're covering. All right, no problem.
I'll send the email.
Is Senator Brito going to be the Easter Bunny in disguise? Don't have to divulge that.
It could be one of the. I mean, the delegation overlaps there. It could be one of the three.
Thank you. So this is an announcement. We don't need
Yeah,
a vote.
well, the license will be coming, right?
Well, we'll watch.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The next
luck getting
docket,
one.
please.
Thank you. Next item.
Appointment, reappointment requiring council confirmation. Keith Gonzalez, reappointment to the Conservation Commission. Appointment number 1, term January 2nd, 2023 to 1/1/2026.
Can I just say Keith is awesome. He is my go-to if I got questions like the stuff they were doing at Hunts Mill, the easement stuff. So I very enthusiastically make a motion we approve.
Second.
Thank you. I'm sure we all agree. He's a wonderful resident doing a lot of volunteer work. Motion by Councilman Lawson, seconded by Councilman Fogarty. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Next.
Patrick Canner, appointment to the Conservation Commission, appointment number 9, and planning representative, term January 2nd, 2024 to January 1st, 2027.
Another great one. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Motion to approve by Councilman Lawson, seconded by Councilman Fogarty. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
I got a question on this. I thought we voted Wayne last meeting.
We, it might have been a different commission. We did
I
have
think
his
Patricia
name.
has a clarification on
Oh,
Thank you. Great observation, Councilman. So the council did approve Wayne to that appointment as a reappointment. However, Wayne does want to remain on the commission, but not as the planning representative. So he removed himself as planning representative, but we need to now, it's a technicality, have you vote on him as an appointed, as a reappointment to a different seat. But Patrick Canner will be the planning representative.
sentiments the same from last meeting to what I just said about Keith and the others, and make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Councilman Lawson.
Second.
Second by Councilman Fogarty. All in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it. Thank you. Next.
appointment, reappointment, not requiring council confirmation. Ron Nowaki, reappointment to serve as tree warden of the city of East Providence, term 1/1/24 to 12/31/24.
It was your pleasure.
Can I get some a tree warden, but don't we have an arborist as well?
They're not the same.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think there's a councilwoman said, I think it's two different.
What's the tree warden do that the arborist doesn't do? This is for my info. I mean, I'll make a motion to approve, but
Yeah, the warden, I believe goes around, and the arborist is somebody who specializes in
yeah,
the
I get that.
plan around the city. The warden, I think, helps with trimming,
Okay.
more of the trimming.
Okay.
Kind of like a
Gotcha.
under here, slightly below.
One gets paid, one doesn't.
Director.
I'll make a motion to approve.
No, it's.
Oh,
no.
I should probably read before I speak, huh?
Yes, okay.
We approve of the decision.
Thank you. So we accept that.
Commission will be.
December capital expenses, finances, Finance Director Malcolm Moore.
We didn't quite get specific about December, but we did have reports. Anyone have any?
I don't have any
about
questions. I haven't had
December?
any time to
Right.
into that.
I haven't, so we're good. Thank you. Next item, please.
Can I just mention, we had a thing that we were using the second meeting of the month for our finances. Do we want to get back? I mean, this is our second
Schedule.
meeting, but do we want to?
Yeah, we
back
should
on
stay
that.
to that.
Okay.
Councilman Rigo.
The only question I have is when will we have the final recap of the 23 budget? Saying sometime in February.
I'm sorry, Malcolm.
Either person.
Council Vice President, are you referring to the actual budget book or the finalized version? So the-
Well, I'm not, well, I think what you're talking about is the final 24 book. What I'm talking about is the final numbers put together for capital 23 budget. So you can answer the first question since you volunteered that. So,
Done.
yeah, you put yourself into something I wasn't even
So
asking
we're,
for.
we're just finalizing it. So by charter, we, a copy, it's complete, obviously. And it's a certified letter. Here's the process. And then we send, we load the digital version onto the website, and then the clerk's office, the actual hard copy. So it's coming, almost done.
And then Malcolm, it's your turn.
Hot seat.
Now, what specifically are you looking for? You're saying,
Well, we talked about this, maybe the second meeting in November or the first meeting in December to get what was left over per department that was transferred into the, into general and capital, into the capital fund. You said you would have that to us by February. Is that still on board? Say the clerk's office or police department had, a surplus of $200,000 and it transferred over. You were supposed to be getting those numbers.
yes, I can get that. We can put that on. I can get you the report. I believe that you've got to factor out the school because they get to keep their surplus. But I believe
I'm just worried about
city departments have a surplus of about just over $2 million.
so 2 million.
And I know if you look in the budget on page, I think it's 21, where it has shows the fund balances about 20 million, and a chunk of that's going to end up being transferred over to capital, probably 3-4 million of that from 22.
So, quick question about the fund balance. So, as you remember, when we did the charter commission, we rewrote that whole thing, so that way it freed up some money and stuff. Is what we wrote still good? Is it working? Do we need to tweak? You don't have to answer that now, but we're going to be doing some charter proposals. And if the fund balance needs to be looked at,
We're,
I like the idea that it rolls over to capital because that kind of disciplined us. But we're sitting on what, 12, 13 million in a rainy day fund?
it's cumulative right now. It's up to just about 20 with this. We put another
20. So I'm all in on a rainy day having it. However, that's a lot of money and
right now. It says 12% of revenues.
Mhm.
You look in there, the revenues are about 140 million. So you're looking at about just over 16 million. So anything over 16 million will roll in. Now there's 2 or 3 million that's reserved.
correct.
So so that left maybe 17 or 18. So but I believe that other 2 million is going to become unreserved. It's technicality.
Right.
Really, if you looked at it, I could only move 16 or 2 of the 18 million, but 20 is all going to become unreserved.
Right.
So I'll probably end up moving up closer to 4 over.
Because we mentioned bonding is low. So being able to have the ability.
Having this rainy day fund for something that might,
But the rainy day also reads that we have to replenish it right away, pretty much. So if we were to spend, you have to replenish it right away. So it's a,
Borrowing against your, you know,
your retirement and stuff, yeah.
you have to
Yeah.
put it back in addition to putting
Yep. Yep. So that's something we may want to have a conversation.
And there you've got 1%, and let's say that's 1.5 million,
Mhm.
which if you hit all your numbers, 1.5 should go to capital every year.
Yep.
For some reason, you want to dip into the rainy day fund for 3 million, let's say, well, then realistically, you won't have capital for 2 years
Right.
because you've got to replenish.
Yeah, replenish, yeah.
So that's the way that works.
Thank you.
So you'll be able to provide us with the 23 and year,
All the departments and whether they're over or under budget.
yeah, just the numbers, yep. And if you have the school, that'd be, even though we know we don't get it, that, we get it, it'd be nice to know.
I can give you what I have for them. It may not be the same. But I do know last year, looked at page 21, it says the city had about a $2 million surplus and the schools had about $500,000. And their cumulative fund balance is 4 to 5 million, or just 20. Go to page 24, water, sewer, each had a surplus of 400 or 500. Oh, no.
thank you.
Thank you.
Next item.
Report of the school committee liaison.
I do not have, and that's on me. I don't have an updated report. I do know the building committee is still been meeting. Is it weekly you guys meet?
No, it's now monthly,
Now monthly. Yep.
as needed.
Do you know if Waddington found a contractor?
They did get bids. They were having trouble getting bids
Correct.
because, believe it or not, contractors thought it was too small a job. Things seem to have eased after the pandemic, and so yeah, they're on their way. And just to add that we appreciate you taking this position on. You don't have to be at every school committee. They're meeting tonight. In fact,
Yeah, that's,
so it's hard to.
I try to watch the meetings after the fact and stuff. It's just,
And I'm sure you, the superintendent, get in touch on critical issues, so
absolutely.
it's appreciated. Thank you. Next item.
Resolution authorizing the mayor to expend additional funds for the storm drain CCTV inspection and cleaning project, sponsored Council President Roderick.
So this is the continuation of our effort to deal with storm drains and infrastructure and using some opera funds. This is, I'll read from the documentation and the reason for this request, that funds are needed to pay for additional drain cleaning and drain inspections citywide. The project has been underway, as everyone knows. They've made some great progress of not finding serious problems in a lot of the drainage pipes. So the company wanted to go a little further and do some more work on infrastructure. I mean, obviously, we're all concerned with this. Councilman Fogarty has been really honing in on, putting dollars for the effort. And so I think we're getting there. And as an anecdotal comment, I would say with all of the rains and the snow and the flooding that has happened almost everywhere, knock on wood, East Providence has recently fared pretty well. I mean, look what's happened in some other communities. Neighborhoods were evacuated, had to be put up in motels and hotels. And the mayor of, I think it's Johnston, wants to do one of the efforts that Councilwoman Souza has been involved in on State Street, where grants were involved and properties were bought. And, we've already done that. And some of our streets are getting better. We still have flooding, but so did the eastern seaboard of the country. So this is continuing to look into the problem. I think it's a well spent ARPA funds to, the increase would be funds needed for additional drain cleaning and inspections citywide in the amount of $83,803.35. And then there are police details in the amount of $6,720. The total is $90,523.35, and we would use ARPA funds to complete this project. So if we're talking about getting after infrastructure, then this is going to go a long way. And
I'll make a motion to accept.
motion by Councilman Fogarty, seconded by Councilwoman Souza. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Next
Motion to
item.
adjourn. I'm sorry. All right.
I was almost there. Are we? No, not yet.
Couple more.
Next item, Madam Clerk.
Couple more, buddy.
Oh, I was not,
Yeah, it's gonna fail, but it might not.
Resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a proposal with CDM Smith, Inc. for professional services for enterprise GIS data development. Sponsor, Councilman Fogarty, Councilman Lawson.
So GIS is Geographical Information System. It's a tool that engineers use for like topography and all kinds of cool stuff. I actually installed this at work, so it's very cool. And this is something that's just going to benefit greatly our DPW department. I apologize, I don't have it in front of me, but if you want to say the numbers, but I'll make a motion to approve.
Yeah, and I'll second that because that is going to help out our database for the system, and furthermore, it will help out our, into engineering furthermore, for our manhole signage, street, all that future stuff that was needed for the infrastructure. So thank you. I'll second that.
So motion by Councilman Lawson, seconded by Councilman Fogarty, as Councilman Lawson said, for a lot of cool stuff.
I think.
Yes, question, Councilwoman Souza, then.
Is this to hire a professional company, or is this actually buying?
Software.
Yeah.
Software.
Program, yeah, software program.
Like ADP or open software platform.
So I think this is a great idea, but we talked about this one time that obviously we're authorizing funds to be spent. It would be nice that the people here, or even us, or people that are watching this or replaying this, that the dollar figures should be in these resolutions.
Yeah, normally they are. I think all of them tonight have had them. I'm not sure. This one didn't have it on the agenda. It's probably in the resolution. I didn't print it.
No, I'm
The
just,
total in the resolution is $122,845.
if they, yeah, if they could just be on this, when we.
Yeah, I mean, it was in our
Yeah,
packet.
it's in the packet, but if they put them there. Yeah, I think they should be on the agenda, so we don't have to read the whole resolution.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, so what was that number again, Madam Clerk?
$122,845.
Okay, we've had a motion and a second.
I mean, when we had to go through that process for ourselves with the clerk's situation, it was made public. So I think it's fair that everything, if we have to do it, then everybody has.
Yeah, no, any vote we take, we should have the dollars and cents. Makes sense. Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Next.
Resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Safeware Inc. for the purchase of a detection meter for the fire department. Sponsor, Councilman Lawson.
So this is a nonsense detector for Council President. Would you like to give, basically you're detecting gases. It's a safety thing for our first responders. So
As the council knows, fire department is one of the 6 state hazmat teams. This is direct funding from REMA for the state Homeland Security Grant Program. So 100% this meter is going to be paid for. It's a high pressure mass spectrometer and do trace amount. So pretty much any chemical or illicit drug, explosives, you name it.
and I apologize, I don't have the dollar amount.
It's
You have everything
$75,581.11
And coming from,
from the state Homeland Security Program through REMA.
so I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll se-
Motion made by Councilman Lawson, seconded by Councilwoman Souza and Council VP Rego. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. I see Councilman Fogarty stepped out. I'm sure he would be later. He'll add to the approval. Chief, sorry to have kept you here just for that. Next time, give us a high five and, we'll get you on the docket earlier.
Some pizza on the way out.
Yeah.
He's getting baptized.
Next item.
Resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement for the purchase of a fully built expedition K-9 vehicle for the police department. Sponsor Council President Rodrick and Councilman Lawson.
I know this is coming out of asset. Was it 69?
Yes, 69, 578, 15.
Yeah, I was born. That's why I remember the 69. So,
Yep.
I enthusiastically support this, and I'll make a motion that we approve.
Second.
Your newest addition, right? I mean,
Correct.
The
We have
new
a-
K-9 dog.
Our new A9,
So-
A9 officer.
Marty's not in the field type. He's a comfort dog.
He is
Chico
in the
is-
field, but yes, he's a comfort dog. He's not a patrol type dog or
Right.
protection dog. Yeah.
He doesn't get.
But the other one is.
we have-
Correct. Our new
Okay.
dog, K9 Nick, is a bomb firearm article detection
Okay.
dog. Our existing dog is a patrol and narcotics trained dog.
And how many K-9 vehicles do we have total after this purchase?
So this would give us 4. We had a spare that K9 Nick and his handler were using. Not in the best condition, went down quite a bit. We had to get it worked on. And this vehicle fell in our laps. It was made for another agency who could not purchase it. Yeah, we avoided an 18 to 24 month wait and a very big price increase on the coming years.
And not to belabor this, but Chief, for people watching, this isn't just a car we buy to throw a dog in the back seat.
Absolutely
You
not.
quickly explain what it is.
Sure. This vehicle is equipped with all of the safety features for a canine. There is a kennel in the back where the canine is housed safely. There is a heat alarm where if there was an issue with the vehicle and the canine was in there and the temperature started rising, the handler has a device. He'd be notified. There's also an alarm that goes off. It would be equipped with a door pop to allow the canine handler to pop the door, let the dog out. It's not just, we're not just putting a canine in the back seat.
Great. We did have a motion in a second. Did you get that, Madam Clerk? Motion in the second. I think it was, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, the ayes have it. Unanimous. Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it. Councilman Fogarty, you had just stepped away for a second. You want to add your voice to the prior vote, which was
Detector, I'm thrilled to, yes.
Detector, I'm sure you, so could the record show that Councilman Fogarty?
Absolutely.
I vote.
100%.
Great.
Apologize.
No problem.
Make a motion to extend. It's after.
We are.
We have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Like it.
Motion made by Councilman Vice President Rego to adjourn, seconded by Councilwoman Souza. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.